Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're doing well on this beautiful Monday morning. There's a lot going on here. We got a lot to talk about on the show. We got a lot to talk about FantasyGuru.com. We got a lot to talk about SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. It's a big day, and we're going to start out with the biggest news of the day. The draft guide has launched over at FantasyGuru.com for fantasy football. By the way, I am Ray Flowers. You can find me on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those spots at the Ray Flowers. You can find me in Discord rooms answering questions for football and baseball right now. You can find me on this show Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Fensterman hosts on Wednesdays this show, Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FG, 12 o'clock noon. On Tuesday through Friday, we have guests in. Those guests show up about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, so about a half an hour into the show. Today, Monday, is the only day where we go solo, about an hour or so, something like that, of me talking baseball on Mondays. But before we get to the baseball talk, before my weekend talk too, by the way, check it out. It's available right now at FantasyGuru.com. The rankings are up. And I was looking at it this morning. We've got dynasty rankings, we've got IDP rankings, rookie rankings, PPR rankings, non-PPR rankings. All that stuff's available. The bold predictions are up. Articles are going to be coming out on not an hourly basis. Let's not get crazy, but a daily basis, just article after article after article. And remember, if you sign up for the product at FantasyGuru.com, you can go to the go to the website, just click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. You can always send a note to support@FantasyGuru.com, support@FantasyGuru.com. You go to FG and you get signed up, and we call it a draft guide, but it's full season long. It's all year, all through the regular season. So we got you covered there. As you can see, as I'm cycling through here on the screen, there's a variety of options. You get the regular seasonal package. You can get the elite seasonal package, which is the add-ons for those of you playing seasonal. You can get the daily, the DFS package is available. You can get the betting package, that's available. And if you want to go whole hog, which you probably should, right? Who doesn't want to go whole hog? Everyone loves fantasy football. There's the all-in package, which gets you the seasonal, the DFS, and the wagering. So all that available right now. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Articles out, rankings out, Discord rooms open right now over at FantasyGuru.com. All right, so we'll check that out. Big, folks. Big. We're really excited about it. I'm sure Jeff Mans will talk about it more on his show today. And Jeff is back this week, so we're back to a normal schedule on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. This show, 12 to 1, Monday through Friday. We go about an hour, sometimes a little less, a little more. Go about an hour here every morning from the free show at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Then from 3 to 6 Eastern is the Jeff Mans Show, the Elite Sports Show. 3 to 6 Eastern on, on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Excuse me for one moment. Oh, great time to get a frog in my throat. So Jeff will be on 3 to 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'm with Jeff on Wednesdays, which is why Justin hosts this show on Wednesday mornings. And then Justin and I will be on the Elite Sports Game Time Show, 8 to 10 Eastern tonight. We might even have a guest from FantasyGuru.com. So this show at 12 o'clock, Jeff's show 3 to 6 on SiriusXM, Justin and my show 8 to 10 Eastern on SiriusXM. I had a big weekend. I hope you had a nice weekend too, by the way. And I hinted at this last week on the Friday show on SiriusXM. So just a quick little sharing of what I did this weekend before we get to the sports talk. For those of you that are watching this live or on demand, welcome. You can always watch this live on Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, on Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, on YouTube at YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. And if you're watching live, you can always watch on demand. But if you're watching live, you can leave comments and questions throughout the show. So we went to the local county fair, had some fun there. As you can see, that's me and R2, me and the unit. There was a whole technology area. So we went through there. There was Terminator, like a life-size Terminator. There was a life-size alien from Alien. Talk about, cell phones and development of technology. Anyway, got a picture of me with the unit. There's me obviously sitting on a cow. Not a real cow. For those of you that aren't watching, for those of you that are downloading by just typing in Fantasy Sports Daily to your podcast network, or for those of you just going to FantasyGuru.com and clicking the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page, you can't see me, but I'm sitting on a plastic cow, which is a cow bench. Yeah, there was like 5 of them there. So, they did have real cows. They had also horses. There were bunny rabbits. There's a little 4-H thing or something going on there. I don't know much about animals, but they're really cute. There's pigs. So there's a picture of me just lounging. And then there's a picture of me because I'm a champion. My lady and I have an Australian dog named Ollie Aussie dog on Instagram if you want to follow him. And we were walking around at the fair part of the fair part where you can, win all these prizes, and the prizes are terrible, and it's $30 to throw something and you're never going to win. We found one of the stands that had an Australian Shepherd, and I'm like, all right. And in the words of my lady, I'm good at chucking S. Let's call it stuff. That's how she introduces me. Oh, this is Ray, my partner. He's good at chucking stuff. So we got these little bean bags, kind of like hacky sack kind of things, and you throw them at balloons, and you hit the 6 balloons in the 6 throws, and you get the pup. And there's me with the winning pup. And as you can tell there, not only was I proud at the fair, I actually drove home. He was a co-pilot on the way home. So we didn't think there was any way that the hacky sacks were going to break the balloons, but they did, and won the prize we wanted. So I'm good for one thing, if nothing else. I'm good at chucking S. Yeah, that's what she said here. Rubby17 says Rogue One is the best ending scene ever. It was. I've told this story. I don't know if I've told on this show. I've told it previously. My lady is a doctor and a lawyer. She's pretty fancy. And through her law work, we oftentimes for work, companies she gives work to and works with, they throw events. And when Rogue One came out, they rented an Alamo. For those of you that have Alamo theaters or wherever you're living, that's one of the first places that did the food and the drinks and everything at the movies. They bring to your seats. Now everyone's kind of doing that. But the Alamo opened in San Francisco. They rented it out the day before Rogue One went public. So we got to see Rogue One before anyone else. So it was just the event. They rented out the entire theater. It had like 5 screens or whatever. So they were constantly going. So we watched it on the big screen in 3D. And then we watched Rogue One on the small screen in 2D. So I actually saw Rogue One twice the day before it was released to the public. So that was super cool. And that is a great ending scene. Absolutely, which you probably know, Rubby17, that they made kind of last minute. It was a last minute edition with Vader, and it's tremendous. All right. So that's what I did this weekend. Hope you had a good weekend too. There was pig racing too. I didn't have a pig racing photo there, but there was pig racing. I did sit front row. Check me out on Twitter X at @TheRayFlowers there, and I'll probably throw something up at some point on Instagram as well. Angelo says Caglianone Pascatino, the Italian collection. We'll talk about Caglianone in a second. Rubby17 says Sawyer, Gibson, Long pickup to start against the White Sox tomorrow. Yes, we'll talk about FAAB here in a few minutes. I think he's a very solid pickup in that matchup. We'll see what the ultimately Tigers do long term with their rotation, right? Still getting Olsen back and all of that. But yeah, I think Sawyer, Gibson, Long is a solid addition if you're looking for a waiver wire pickup to help out your fantasy squad this week. John G says, Ray, in a keeper league, I have Robbie Ray, Tariq Scootwool, Spencer Strider, Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, Nick Pivetta, Frank Gore, Nick Lodillo. Yeah, that's pretty good, John. Yeah, you're killing it. They're all must starts, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't really know what your question is. Are you asking me which 5 to start? I'd have to go through the schedule, John, and to be honest with you, I don't have time to do that here while we're doing the live show. So if you want to hit me up in Discord, I'd be happy to answer the question for you. But yeah, in general, Ray, Strider, Scooble, Lopez, Ryan, Pivetta, Gore, Lodillo, they always start. So you did a great job of building. Unfortunately, your league limits you to 5, which is very old school thinking. And it's unfortunate for you, but at least you've got this depth built in because, as we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, a lot of teams might have depth or had depth at one point on the hill. They just don't have it anymore now because of injury. All right, so here's the show. Here's what we're going with. We're going to talk about pitchers getting battered a little bit here to start the show. We're going to talk a little bit about the situation with Jack Caglianone, who I just mentioned. We're going to talk about the injuries, which are prevalent to say the least. They're everywhere on the hill. And Max Muncy is back in our lives. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second here. And then we'll go through, as we do every Monday, the FAAB for LABR, FSGA, and TOUT WARS. Just so everyone knows, I've seen multiple questions about this in Discord. Let me see if I can get that going there. There we go. Multiple questions in Discord. I've seen questions on social media as well. The first of every month, we updated. Well, John, by the way, John, I'm frustrated because I always start the wrong people. And again, I say this all the time, and you've heard it, John. I say it all the time. The shallower the league you're in, the harder it is. I get why people do shallow leagues, but it's more difficult. Number one, you don't get to take advantage of building a great pitching staff, which you did. You don't get to take advantage of it, which sucks. And number two, you are going to choose the wrong guys. So the smaller your league, both in league size and in starting players per week, looks easier. It's more difficult. I've said it for years. People don't listen. Everyone does 10-team head-to-head, 5, 6, 7 starting spot. If you were in a deeper league, you'd be killing it. And you'd be able to take advantage of your great work on the hill too, John. So keep that in mind next year. You might want to join a little bit of a deeper league. Back to what I was saying, people are commenting because it's June 1st, right? Where are the rankings? I'm not responsible for the tech at fantasyguru.com. I can only do what I can do. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, trying to get all kinds of things. Football's up, and that was a big deal. We had to get all that going. So the bottom line is the rankings page at fantasyguru.com is not updated. The rankings page at fantasyguru.com still shows the May 1st rankings. Ray, you said last week you were going to do the rankings on June 1st, as you always do the first of every month, and that is part of the package at fantasyguru.com. You can still sign up for the baseball package. We have one price right now for the entire baseball package the rest of the season. DFS, wagering, and seasonal, all three combined. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Get signed up for the product. Send a note. Support at fantasyguru.com. So if you want to, you want to get a boost for your seasonal format, you want to get help with the wagering, you want to get help in DFS, sign up. It's one package right now at fantasyguru.com. What I can do is what I can do. So I can't make the tech work. So the tech team is working on it right now. They tell me it should be fixed today. But what I did is, if you go to the baseball section at fantasyguru.com, I posted an article yesterday with the rankings. So you can scroll down to the bottom of the article, just download the Excel sheet straight to your computer with the rankings. I also posted the actual rankings in the body of the article. It's kind of ugly and messy looking, but I know not everyone has the ability to download Excel files and use them properly. So in the body of the article, you can see it. You can also just download the Excel file. You can find that by going, again, fantasyguru.com, the MLB section. There's a picture of fireworks. So that's how you'll be able to find it. So it was up yesterday. I apologize for the issue with the rankings page. Hopefully that'll be fixed today and that'll be updated later today. Okay, let's get into it. I listed here pitchers getting battered. And we've got a real problem in baseball and fantasy baseball. And the problem is the following. That, as I've said all along, teams don't manage their pitching staffs properly. And the reason they don't do it is because of the way the game has evolved. So everyone pretty much does it the same way. And we, Justin and I talk about this all the time on the Elite Sports Game Time show, again, 8 to 10 Eastern, Monday through Friday. And I talk about this all the time when I write bets up. We talk about it on the show. Teams are just burning through their bullpens. They're just day after day after these guys, he's pitching 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 days, 4 or 6 days. Like, they're just burning. It's 2 months into the season and they're just burning through these guys. And the problem when a starting pitcher goes out and struggles, and it looks bad, right? When you struggle and it looks bad, you should get pulled. But what happens sometimes is these teams have to just keep their starting pitcher out there because they legitimately don't have guys in the bullpen to cover 7 innings that day. Most teams will have a long man. And that long man can throw 75 pitches out of the bullpen kind of thing, right? But most of the guys in the bullpen are 35, 40 tops, right? So they have one guy at 70. If the guy that throws 70 pitches comes in on a Thursday, and then on Friday we need a guy in the 3rd inning, he's not available. He threw 75 pitches yesterday. Not available. So what do? Did they call a minor league guy up for the Friday game? Maybe, but probably not. So the bottom line is these guys get battered. And, to me, it's terrible baseball, the result, because you have a starting pitcher out there that just gets brutalized, number one. Number two, it's catastrophic in the fantasy space. It's terrible in a roto setup, and in a head-to-head setup, it just destroys your week. And number three, I don't really understand how a team says to the guy, look, we need you to pitch. We need you to soak up innings. Say, I know you don't have it. I know you're freaking awful at it. I know you can't control your slider. I know you have no idea where your changeup's going, but I got to leave you in this game. Does that really build goodwill with the team and especially the pitcher? That's nonsensical to me. And we saw this happen. I have Jesus Luzardo in Tout Wars. I was climbing the standing. I'm still in 2nd place, so that's good. But I thought I might fall out of 2nd place. Luzardo gave up 12 runs in 3 1/3 innings. His ERA went up like a 1.5 in one game. He went from being a top 10 starting pitcher. I don't know where he dropped. His ERA and whip now, his whip is like 1.3 from one game. What is the point of leaving a guy in there to get his brains beaten in? And it's beyond the fantasy thing, right? Because again, like I said, I wore that one. As bad as that was, did you see? I'm sure you did. Will Warren got 4 outs and gave up 7 runs. Like, what are we doing? Brandon Pfaadt didn't get an out and gave up 8 runs. What are we doing? So you go and you spend your $500 to get tickets, take your wife and your kid to the game, and you're all there. And the game is over in the first inning. It's over. Team's throwing in the towel, number one, which means you're wasting your money. The team's not even really trying. They're trying to win, but the pitcher's getting brutalized. They're creating ill will with the players. When Brandon Pfaadt at the end of the year has an ERA of, let's say, 4.1, and then you take this one outing out and his ERA is 3.7 or 3.6, and then he's going to arbitration and the guy says, well, your ERA is 4.1. We're going to give you $3 million. If your ERA had been 3.6, we'd give you 5. So I don't know, man. I mean, and I said, someone in Discord mentioned, I think someone had Luzardo and Warren. So they got like 5 innings of work and like 19 runs. Like, oh. So I don't know. I just don't know. I don't get it. And I understand both sides. Again, the real problem is teams don't run their staffs properly. They don't have depth. They want to throw everybody 1 inning a day. They do throw everyone. Justin and I talk about it all the time. Teams will be, they'll play a 5-4 game, 9 innings, pretty cleanly pitched. The 2 starters both went 5 innings, and there'll be 9 pitchers. It's like, what are we doing? Luzardo, again, 12 runs and 3 1/3. Warren, 7 runs and 1 1/3. Brandon Pfaadt, 8 runs, no outs. Yeah. We have enough problems with pitching. We don't need absolutely horrendous. And I've said this off air. I think I've said it on air. It's basically criminal. Like, you can make a lot of bad decisions. Let's call a hit and run as a coach. Or, let's leave a pitcher in there, when he should get pulled because the bases are loaded. Okay. As a manager, you're just going to leave a guy out there, Brandon Pfaadt, to get his brains beaten in. If I'm Brandon Pfaadt, I'm not listening. Do I trust my manager anymore? Nope. I want to compete. I want to battle, sure. But 8 runs and no outs? Horrendous. Jack Caglianone has been called up. We had Rubby17 mention him earlier. He has been promoted. So interesting. This is why I hate rookies and why it's so difficult to figure them out. I broke down on episode 411, so check that out, last Friday. I broke down Caglianone. So if anyone's got questions about him or whatever, go back and check that article out. I laid out multiple reasons why he wasn't going to get called up for at least a week more. Toilet, all of it. They called him up. They're going to call him up today. So Caglianone's on the waiver wire. Adam. The fact is that he was promoted earlier than anticipated. We talked about Caglianone last week on Monday because he was added in TOUT WARS, I remember in particular. Because in that league, if you add a guy off the waiver wire, you have to put him in your lineup. So I forget who got him. They overpaid last week because they spent $218 out of the 1,000 or whatever it was. So they took a 0 all week, but they get Caglianone this week. So maybe it's not that bad of a deal because we've all dealt with injuries and poor performances in a week anyway. So check out that last episode 411 on Friday last week for more on Caglianone. Some pitcher talk here before we talk FAAB. Michael King's got that shoulder issue. He played some catch. He's moving forward. What we're hearing is he slept on his shoulder wrong. Now, I have a shoulder issue. We've talked about it on the show a lot. I've had to sleep on my right side for 9 months now because I can't really sleep on my left side anymore. My right shoulder is more sore now than it was prior to my left shoulder getting hurt. I'm right-handed. Maybe it's just wear and tear. I'm in my 50s now, okay. But it's kind of coincidental that sleeping on my right shoulder every night, now my right shoulder hurts. So I can totally buy Mike King, slept on his shoulder wrong and the nerve and all that. Problem is, we don't know when he's going to be back. They said he's getting better. Again, he played some light catch. June, maybe? I mean, it all depends how much time it takes for the nerve to respond. There's no direct, we don't know for sure. Depending upon how long he really can't do anything, that then causes him to need rehab assignments and all of that. So I'm hopeful that Michael King will be back in June. And again, it's June 2nd. So that's still a long period of time, and I'm not certain it's going to happen. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. If you have Michael King, this is better news than not, but it's disappointing that it looks like it's still going to be a fair amount of time with him. Shane McClanahan's going to throw off the mound tomorrow in his return from the triceps injury. Remember, a lot of people were buying McClanahan heavy this year. He got hurt. Coming back, got hurt. He's going to throw, again, off the mound on Tuesday. If that goes well, he'll throw a full bullpen on Friday. At this point in time, I mean, I'm with Shane McClanahan, who's at 0. Like, at least Michael King was throwing a week ago, right? Shane McClanahan's at a 0. he's after the All-Star break. I'd be stunned if McClanahan's back before the All-Star break if everything goes well. There's always a chance with McClanahan it doesn't go well and he doesn't throw a pitch this year. So for those of you looking to add a guy like McClanahan off the waiver wire, if you do, it's a long-term play because, again, I'm certainly not expecting him in June, and I'd be really surprised if he's up before the All-Star break. Going to the hitting side of things, Mookie Betts has got a toe issue. Apparently, he broke his toe. And I used to poo-poo, as I've said many times, toe issues until I got an ingrown toenail from a long hike I was doing, trying to impress a girl. Well, I was on a 7-mile hike. Like, what are you going to do? I hurt my toe. What are you going to do? Like, you're 3 miles out in the woods. I could have turned around and saved a mile on the trip, but, still going to get 3 miles getting back. So anyway, I know what toe injuries are like. They hurt like hell. Apparently, it's the tip of his toe. They think he's going to be okay, but at the same time, Mookie Betts is going to be reevaluated tomorrow, okay? He did some baseball activity on Sunday, did some light hitting in the cage. He's not going to play today as Mookie Betts. If you have a weekly lineup play and you have Mookie Betts, I'm dealing with Kyle Tucker. Like, I've got Kyle Tucker in a league, and I think he's going to be okay. We'll talk about him. Actually, yeah, he's on the list. We'll talk about him. I can't tell you got to have Mookie Betts active this week if you set your lineup on Monday for the rest of the week, because we just don't know. It sounds like he's trending toward avoiding the injury list and playing this week. That's what it sounds like, but we know how these things can change very quickly. Back to the hill, Corbin Burns. We don't know what's going on with Corbin Burns exactly. Again, the rankings have been updated at fantasyguru.com, and it's hilarious. I'm putting the rankings page up, and as I'm putting the page up, and here's Corbin Burns getting hurt. That's why I hate doing rankings in season, because it's like it changes so quickly. But the bottom line is with Corbin Burns, it looks bad. We don't have anything definitive at this point. He's got an elbow issue. Everyone's read his lips as he's being removed from the game. He said that, my elbow's done. The MRI is happening today. The manager, Tori Lavolo, says that the level of concern is more than minimal. Seems like best case scenario is a short stay on the injured list. A worst case scenario is obviously catastrophe. So obviously not starting Corbin Burns this week. Gonna have to make a replacement move here on the waiver wire through the trade market, something like that. It doesn't look good. He was throwing last couple of pitches he threw were down multiple miles an hour as well. I'm bracing for a substantial amount of time on the sidelines. Now, remember, Christopher Sanchez had a similar thing with his arm, and we were all nervous about that, and he was back like 10 days later. So maybe I'm blowing this out of proportion a little bit. I think I'm underselling it a little bit. Very, very dicey with Corbin Burns right now. Let's hope we get good information, but it doesn't seem likely in this scenario. Luke Weaver was supposed to come into the game last night. He didn't for the Yankees. He felt something in his hamstring. It's another guy I have in a weekly setup league. Am I going to be playing him today? I don't know. The good news is none of the games are till later in the day, right? I think, what is it? I think it's 3 o'clock West Coast time, so 6 o'clock East Coast. Let's verify that for today. Yeah, 3:40 Pacific time, so 6:40 Eastern time. So we'll have all day. So hopefully we'll get updates on all these guys so we can set lineups. But the fact is that Luke Weaver felt something in his hamstring, didn't come in the game last night. You've got Devin Williams now who could be in play. You got Mark Leiter who could be in play. Tim Hill's actually the guy that got the save last night for the Yankees. Let's hope that Weaver, they were just being cautious and he's back out there in a day or two. He's been fantastic. The only thing that could slow him to this point apparently would be an injury because he's been terrific. But for those of you, panicking or just, seeing how Devin Williams performed, he's on the waiver wire. He could be closing games here in a couple of days for the Yankees. Leiter and Hill are solid pitchers, but obviously, Williams has got the experience in the ninth inning, so we'll keep an eye on that. Kyle Tucker, who I referenced, hurt his finger. X-rays came back negative, which is really good news. Of course, we don't know for certain. Here is what manager Craig Counsell said. I'm going to read the quote. Quote, optimistic that this is going to be at most a day or two, unquote. I really wish we could trust managers and front offices to tell us the truth. We can't. That has been proven over the last couple of years. I think in this instance, though, if you have Kyle Tucker, sounds good. Sounds like he's okay. So it sounds like if you've got him in your league, as I do, you're going to roll with them. I have more confidence that Tucker plays this week than Mookie Betts, and watch it go the other way. That's how this works. Speaking of a player that it's going the right direction for, before we talk about FAAB, which we'll do here in a second, let's talk a little bit of Max Muncy. Solo home run last night, 2 for 3. And Muncy is a player that was drafted in the middle rounds. And the fact is, when he's healthy, he goes 30-80 every year. Just does. Now, he might hit 210 or 230. He's not going to steal bases. But he was absolutely awful to start the year. And he was so bad that people were, he was being dropped. Let's face it, he was being dropped. In the 2 leagues I have him, I didn't drop him because, again, I'm in deeper leagues, so I never dropped him. I did remove him from my lineup for a couple of weeks, but didn't drop him. And all of a sudden, Max Muncy, I don't know if you've noticed, or he might still be on the waiver wire in your league. I don't know. The last 30 days, he's got 27 RBIs in 25 games, 6 home runs. He's hitting 275, and his OPS is 933. Let's get a little more aggressive. What about the last week? The last 6 games, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, got a 1,400 OPS. He is blazing hot. Now, his overall numbers include a 227 average and a 750 OPS. That's still a little low in the OPS column. 7 home runs in 55 games is obviously well below the 30 home run pace. But as we're talking about here, he's got 4 home runs the last 6 games. The stroke has really come around. And kind of like Jake Berger, right? It's like, when you're a veteran player like this, if the teams give you time, and in the case of Max Muncy, you knew the Dodgers would give him time, he's going to figure it out. And so he's figured it out. He's still got the limitations of not running and the batting average being an issue. So this is not, super good, happy, fun time, right? This is, but it's really nice to see him go from being somebody that was being dropped and somebody who there was legitimate concern of, is it over for him? As he, is in his mid-30s and all that. The answer is no, that's not the case. He's going to be fine, it looks like. He's going to be Max Muncy, which is good to know. Okay. Let's talk a little FAAB. Every Monday we do this. We go through the league settings where we talk FAAB. Oh, man, Ray, I formatted improperly. Oh, well, sorry about that, everybody. Too late for me to fix that at this point. So we'll start out with the LABR. Each page is supposed to have it. Ray, I was doing so many things this morning. I missed it by one little number, one little line there. Anyway, here's the FAAB spending for LABR. As you can see there on the screen, $100 there, 15-team mixed league. In this league, you have to pick up a player for $1. You can't pick up players for $0 at any point in the season. So you always have to keep a little bit back, as we talk about all the time. That does require or lead to some little lower level spending. I've seen a drastic improvement here of late. I was in 14th or 15th place like 3 weeks ago. I'm up to 8th now. Am I going to win this league? No. Am I going to be respectable? Thankfully, yes. I think that's going to be the case. Let's go through some of the bidding here on how that league went over the weekend, which was i.e. yesterday. Ryan Yarbrough for $7. Failed bids 2, 1, and 1. Yarbrough has pitched really well. I saw that Angelo brought that comment up in the Discord. He's pitched really well. And he's an interesting player. He's always, and we talked about him on the show directly. Was it last week, 2 weeks ago? I talked about how he was my breakout pitcher of the year one year. There's the COVID season and all that kind of stuff. We talked about him on the show last week and said, look, he's probably going to be a 2-start pitcher. You could pick him up. I'd only want to start him for one of the 2 starts really, but his next start is slated to be against Boston. Boston's not hitting very well right now. And the fact is that he is cementing himself in the rotation for now for the Yankees. Now, the problem that he runs into is that Yarbrough is somebody who is more than capable of being a bulk reliever. He's more than capable of pitching out of the bullpen. And then you look at the staff, and Marcus Stroman and Luis Gil are there. Now, both those guys are right-handed. So there's a little bit of an advantage for Yarbrough, who's a lefty, but the Yankees already have Rodon and Fried, so they don't need another lefty. Marcus Stroman, Gil, they're going to want to start him. So, we'll see with Yarbrough how long this lasts. We also should point out that as great as he has been, and $7 out of 100 is totally reasonable. As great as he has been, it's pretty obvious he's pitching over his head. Really interesting, though, that his strikeout rate, which has always been poor, never been 21% for a season. It's 25% right now. So very interesting with Ryan Yarbrough. Kobe Mayo is awarded to Ray Flowers of fantasyguru.com for $4. Yay, Ray. I forgot to put that in yellow, too. Look at me. I'm screwing everything up today. I don't know here's my thought process. The Orioles have injuries. Look at he get called up, Mayo, because of the injury to Ryan Mountcastle. Mountcastle's on the injured list. Jordan Westberg, Colton Cowser, Cedric Mullins, and Tyler O'Neill. That's 5 guys that were supposed to be in the starting lineup this season for the Orioles. Then you've got Ramon Laureano, who is a fill-in for the injured O'Neill. He got hurt. Then you've got Gary Sanchez, who's been hurt for a long while. So my thought process is, look, the Orioles are terrible. They got to do something, whether that's a trade or not. In the case of Mayo, Mayo has arguably the best power bat of any minor leaguer in baseball. If he comes up and he hits, they got to keep him in this lineup. They got to figure it out. They can't afford to bench him. They can't afford to demote him. And if he comes up and he's hot, maybe they trade him. So this is a long-term play for me. Again, I'm trying to squeak this out here. My team is kind of so-so here in this league. I'm middle of the pack, and that's a huge improvement. My third baseman in this league is Max Muncy, so I should be okay. It never hurts to have a little bit of depth. So Coby Mayo for $4, as you can see there. There's another bid for $4. If we have tie bids in this league, it goes to the team with the worst record. So obviously I was fortunate. I got him for $4 with failed bids for $4 and $3. Jorge Mateo is playing more because of the injuries we were just talking about. He went for $3. Steals a base, not a very good bat. Nathan Lukes for $2 with a failed bid of $1. Lukes is getting a lot of playing time in the outfield. Addison Barger is really the guy that's exciting right now with the Blue Jays. Lukes for $2. Yeah, it's fine. I don't care about that. It doesn't bother me. Dane Myers for $2. We talked about Myers last week. He is back off the injured list. He hasn't been playing every day for the Miami team, but he's been very effective when playing. And really, there's no reason for them not to play him every day. Platoon or not, just let him play. So I'd like that bid better than the $2 Nathan Lukes. Randy Rodriguez for $2 with bids of 1, 1, and 1. In most of your leagues, I'm going to say that Rodriguez is not a guy that you're going to want. Why? Because he's not in line for saves. Even though the Giants went to Doval, Walker's probably still the number 2 guy if there was a problem in the 9th inning. Rodriguez has been spectacular. 36 strikeouts in 25 innings. His whip is 0.7. Great addition if you're just looking for ratios. If you're looking for saves, no. Even holds. I mean, he's got 4 holds the last month. 6 all season. He hasn't been utilized like a guy like Tyler Rogers there with the Giants if you're looking for solds. By the way, the solds rankings should be updated today. I'll try to get to that. Really busy day today because I got to do the extra ranking stuff that we talked about earlier because of the fact it wasn't able to be done yesterday. So I'll keep an eye on that, but I'll try to get the solds rankings out today if I can. Dennis Santana for $2. Santana has fallen behind Bednar for the 9th inning work. He's been spectacular ratio-wise. Not going to sustain those numbers, but he's a fine addition at $2 in a deep league. Wensil Perez, maybe positional flexibility, a couple bucks, that's fine. Hilliard for $1, it's fine. Landon Knack for $1. How long is he going to stay in that rotation? We just heard the Dodgers move Tyler Glasnow to the 60-day injured list. Don't know when he's going to be back. So, okay, fine on Knack for $1. Estrada for $1, much like the Randy Rodriguez bid. A power reliever with a lot of strikeouts, not a guy in line for saves, but there. Fred Zinke went to Cal Quantrill for $1. Good addition there. You'll see his name in a few minutes with me. Dylan Carlson for $1. Again, the Orioles. Enrique Hernandez for $1 and Garrett Whitlock for $1. So let's move on to the FSGA League, where I was doing a little bit better, and I backslid there. I'm in 8th place in that league. It's 8's alive for Ray Flowers. I'm 8 in both of those leagues here. As you can see in the FSGA, 14-team mixed league, $1,000. This is the one league I'm in where you can add a player for nothing off the waiver wire. We run waivers Sunday night. Monday morning, the waiver wire is open for a couple hours before games start. In fact, I went and made a move today. Let's look at it. So remember, 14-team mixed league, $1,000 to spend here. As you can see there, I got Brandon Marsh for $37. I needed some help in the outfield. I'm still waiting for Evan Carter to come back. Jordan Walker went on the injured list last week, excuse me. Got Alex Bregman on the sidelines. Okay. So what did I do? In this league, I added this morning Coby Mayo for free. Why? I had Marsh because I needed an outfield play more than I needed a play in the infield. So I added. I'm actually going to make a change here. What do I see here? Let's leave that. So I needed to play in the outfield more. So I added Marsh. Mayo was my secondary bid. I think I had like the same $37 bid on Mayo. No one picked Mayo up. So I went out and grabbed him this morning. I believe I dropped Dennis Santana, who we were just talking about. And the reason being that Justin Martinez is back, and now he's looking good for working the 9th inning. And I'm like, this is the league. I'm not going to win this league either. Most likely it's going to take a lot because my current pitching staff, I've got 8 saves, and 4 of them are Martinez and 4 of them are AJ Puck. So, yeah. So I dropped Santana, who got me some saves, and picked up Mayo. So we'll see if Mayo is able to pick the pace up here. Didn't cost me anything to do it. So my bench now is I've got Mayo and Jordan Lawler. Lawler, by the way, went 3 for 4 yesterday after the Diamondbacks demoted him. He's probably going to go and hit 350 down at AAA, and then they're going to have to make a decision. So we'll see what happens to Jordan Lawler. But Brandon Marsh, 37. Obviously, I overspent, but I needed help in the outfield after losing Carter and Walker. I have Gavin Lux, who can play second base or outfield. Lux has been fine, but 1 home run, 1 steal, light hitting, 290 is nice, but he's a second base guy. He's a weak guy in the outfield. Back to the top there, Cole Young went for 146. Young obviously called up to play second base for the Mariners. A very solid prospect. None of these skills that he owns are carrying skills. He's not going to steal 40 bases. He's not going to hit 30 home runs. I don't think he hits 300. But kind of like Meridoth with the White Sox with a little bit more speed, even though Meridoth started with a nice stolen base run. Cole Young is well worth picking up. 146 is not a crazy spend point. I'm really surprised no one else bid. 13 was the next highest bid. Again, with me, I had more of a need at the corner infield spot after losing Bregman, which is why I went Mayo, versus up the middle with Cole Young. But Young, he could be added in a lot of leagues. He's in the rankings that have been updated over at fantasyguru.com. Robert Garcia for 91. See the new closer with the Rangers? Is it still Luke Jackson? Chris Martin's still not back. What are we doing here? We'll see. $91 for him. That's pretty aggressive, though. Robert Garcia had a failed bid of 81. So great bidding there by the FTN team, winning by $2. Luis Arias for $38. A neat addition, of course. Dean Kremer for 22 with the failed bid for $2. Let's pull up the probables. So I've got it here. Who is he pitching against this week? Dean Kremer is set to face the Athletics on Friday in, where are they at now? In Sacramento, wherever the hell they're at now. Ernie Clement, $22. Obviously, a bunch of failed bids there. By the way, Ernie Clement, who is on my LABR team. Clement, for those people that missed it, I don't know how you did, went absolutely bananas the last couple of days. The last 7 games, he's got 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 6 runs scored, and he's batting .430. And the last month, 337 average, 895 OPS. And he should qualify at second base, third base, and shortstop, and maybe even first base in most leagues. So a very solid addition in a deeper mixed league for the positional flexibility, not to mention he's hitting like an all-star the last month. Jorge Mateo for 17. Again, I don't really care about him. Yohan Moncada for 13. I don't care about him. He's about ready to get injured. He's already dealing with injuries and claiming he doesn't know when he got hurt. No. Willie Castro for 11. That's a good addition. That's a much better addition in my mind than Mateo or Moncada. He's hit a little bit here of late. What does Castro hit? I feel like the last week he really picked things up. Obviously, he's a guy that can steal a base. Willie Castro, if I can learn how to type. Willie Castro is multi-position eligible, probably second, third, and short, maybe outfield. Yeah, it's the last 2 weeks hitting 300 with 1,000 OPS, almost 990. So yeah, that was a much better addition. Not just because of that. I think he's just a better player. Henry Davis for $6. We'll see. It's interesting pickup there because Eddie Rodriguez is back. So kind of a little odd timing there. Michael Tauchman for $6. He's been hot. And he's a platoon guy, but he's going to play at least against righties for the White Sox. $6, fine. Conforto, $3. Nolan Jones for $2. Nolan Jones is interesting. We talked about him here on the show last week. Nolan Jones, and we've actually talked about him many times because he was on multiple teams of mine. He's really started to hit. And we talked about the fact that his batted ball data below the surface numbers was very strong, that he should be doing way better than he is on the surface. Still hitting 200 with the 600 OPS. 2 home runs is terrible. But he's 8 for his last 19. And the last 2 weeks, he's hitting 300. So maybe he's finally going to get going here. We'll see. And then Lennon Sosa for $1 to player props. Okay, finally, we're going to go to TOUT WARS. Let's go to TOUT WARS. I'll pull it up myself here. I think I'm in second place. Let me verify that. League standings. I am still in second place in this league. Ryan Boyer is in first place. Greg Jewett is in third. I made a trade last week in this setup. I actually traded Yandy Diaz for Victor Scott. Victor Scott, let's see how he's done the last week since I added him. He didn't do anything. He stole a base. Scored 2 runs. Victor Scott stopped hitting. But I need steals in this league. That's my weak point offensively. If you look at the offense, I'm first in runs, second in home runs, third in RBIs, first in on-base percentage, and I'm 9th, 10th in steals. So I needed steals, so I made that move. I also needed outfield help in that league. Who is hurt? It's always hard to remember who's hurt in all my leagues. Dolis Garcia is hitting like poo. And Mike Yastrzemski, who I also added, started to slow. So made that trade. Let's talk about this 15-team mixed league. It's $1,000. You can't pick any players up in week or after the FAAB run here for this 15-team TOUT WARS league. Remember, the TOUT WARS league is on the pitching side, solds instead of saves, innings pitched instead of victories, and on the offensive side, it's on base percentage instead of batting average. So let's go to that league. Now, here we go. Nathan Eovaldi was put on the disabled list. Rodriguez, we just talked about, was added. Again, Rodriguez is killing it. Interestingly, only has 6 holds or solds on the season. So a little bit low there. As you can see lower down, I've grabbed Tyler Rogers for 21. So the exact same price point, interestingly enough. Rodriguez is more skilled. Absolutely. Tyler Rogers can pitch every day as he normally does. And he basically gives you 30 solds a year. He's done it for years now. So I had Leahy, you can see there, who struggled basically since I picked him up the last 2 weeks. He struggled. So I made the move to Tyler Rogers, who's boring, not a big strikeout guy, but he's just going to rack up solds. As you can see there as well, I actually added Cal Quantrill. And I'm not a Cal Quantrill guy. We've talked about him on the show. But, and here's the huge but, he's set to face Colorado on Wednesday. I'm in. It's in Miami against the Rockies. I think you got to be in there. And if you look at the way the rotation is playing out, his next start is set up to pitch it in Pittsburgh. So those are two starts I'm not minding using Cal Quantrill. By the way, Quantrill, who is, again, just a guy, might have gone underreported, right? But his last 4 starts, his ERA is 3.6 and his WHIP is 1.25. Like, I'll take that. Again, it's not a sexy or exciting play, but those 2 matchups were really intriguing to me. And again, I've only spent I think I've spent less than $100 out of my 1,000 on the year. So I'm trying to find it as we're talking here. This website's a different one for me. Available players, transaction log. I don't know. FAAB log. Let's see if I can see this. Oh, it's not working. Anyway, I think I have like 900 of my 1,000 left, so I could overspend a little bit to get Cal Quantrill. Back to the top of the list, Toro at Boston. He's their first baseman now, which is terrible. He's performed well the last 2 weeks. He's going to be terrible in on-base percentage too. Yeah, that's just a need addition. I don't mind it for that reason. But David Fry, we talked about last week for $12. That's a good addition in an on-base percentage league. Ray, why didn't you make a move? I have Tyler Stevenson and Agustin Ramirez. I didn't need a catcher boost in this league. Palencia is another guy that I bid on. I think I bid 29 or 39 for him, and I went 21 for Rogers. So again, this is a solds league. I did prefer Palencia. You should prefer Palencia, obviously, in a saves league. I think in a solds league, it's fair to prefer him as well. He's a much more dynamic, big-time strikeout arm than Rogers. 3 times as much money. Yeah. Melton, $87 to John Legazzi. Legazzi, excuse me. Issue there is, and there was a report about it this morning, he hasn't been playing every day in the minors, and the plan isn't really to play him every day since he's been promoted either. So we'll see. A nice talent, but with the Houston there, it just doesn't sound like he's going to play 7 days a week or 6 days a week. So, yeah. Young for $1, $1. I'll take a shot for $1 on the youngster. Again, he's not an elite level prospect. He doesn't have a huge carrying skill, but he's a solid option offensively. And for $1, what the hell? Here we're reserving Royce Lewis, who has not done anything for weeks now. So that's a good move there. Landon Knack for $54. Again, I think the question with the Dodgers is how many turns through the rotation is Knack going to get allowed before he loses his spot? He's pitching well. Would you pay $54 for him or $36 for Quantrill? I made the Quantrill call because of the next 2 matchups. We'll see. But Knack has he's done a very good job for the Dodgers. Encarnacion is picked up for $36. Encarnacion likely to see a lot of time at the DH spot for the Giants. They're Lamont Wade, people getting a little antsy there. So Encarnacion, I don't mind this addition, though. Adding him now means you have to have him in your lineup. So I don't know if I love that this week. Tauchman for 27. Again, it's an on-base percentage league. This league does that well. We talked about my 2 guys. Bowden Francis for $11. Again, this is an innings pitch league. Francis is fine for $11. Who does Francis face next? Again, I'm in a deeper league. I know most of you aren't. He's not a target of mine by any means. Oh, yuck. He's a 2-start pitcher this week. Minnesota later in the week. Philly tomorrow. Oof. I don't like that at all. I would not be adding a guy to pitch against Phillies. That's just me. Ben Brown for 7. Unclear how much time Brown is going to get in the rotation. He's slated to face the Tigers later this week. When Imanaga's back, he very easily could lose a spot to Horton. But for now, again, short-term pickup, not bad. Though Detroit, they got a bunch of lefties. Like, do you want a righty going up against Green and Carpenter and Meadows if he's back? And I don't love that addition. Price point's fine. I just don't love that addition. Yarbrough for $2. Fine addition there. We talked about that. So there you go. So there's the review of the FAAB this week. Hope that is something that you all enjoy. I've been told that people do enjoy it, so that's why we did it. Remember, it's time to get signed up for the football product over at fantasyguru.com. If you missed this early in the show, just to reiterate, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page at fantasyguru.com. The football product is available. It's live. The rankings are out. Rookie rankings, dynasty rankings, PPR rankings, non-PPR rankings, IDP rankings. They're all there. Rankings. We've got them everywhere. The articles are starting to flow. We have the bold predictions by the entire staff. Who's going to win the divisions and the World Super Bowl. And I almost said World Series. The Super Bowl and all that, that's available. And the articles will continue to come out. If you get signed up for the package at fantasyguru.com, you get the coverage throughout the entire season, not just the preseason. You can get the DFS package right now. Obviously, we're not betting on it, but you can get the DFS package right now. You can get the wagering package right now. We do have UFL coverage. And that's on right now. So you can play DFS and wager there if you want. As you can see there, if you get the Elite Seasonal package on the screen, you do get that. So if you get the addition of the UFL, which gives you the ability to bet and play DFS. And our guy, the Marlin, is fantastic. DFS Mark Hogan. He's terrific. So that's an option there. And then, of course, you can just go with the old basic seasonal package. That gets you the rankings now. That gets you the articles now. That gets you the in-season rankings. That gets you access to the Discord room. We have a dynasty room. We have the regular football room. We have the betting room, all that kind of stuff over at fantasyguru.com. So get over there, sign up. And you can also sign up for the baseball package. One price. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. One price for our baseball product the rest of the season. And that gets you DFS, wagering, and seasonal. All right, so there it goes, folks. Remember, the rankings have been updated at fantasyguru.com for baseball. I will try to get the rankings page itself to update today. I'm in contact with the tech team. They're working on it. For now, if you go to the baseball section at fantasyguru.com, look for it says June rankings, but it's also the picture of the fireworks. You'll be able to download the Excel sheet from there, and that'll help you at least until we get the rankings page up and running. All right, so there it is. Follow me, Twitter, X, Instagram, all those places at The Ray Flowers. Hope you do well this week. Get those lineups set, get ready for some success, and get signed up with us. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner to become part of the largest active community in fantasy sports. I'm Ray Flowers. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the show that is powered by fantasyguru.com at 12 o'clock. Have a good one, folks.